Another experiment today, I'm trying to either fight or use ambient light in the shot. Okay, so both windows are not covered. I actually have the mechanical blinds outside, but you don't always have any blinds or any curtains. There is actually the curtain in this window. I can open it and close. We'll see if this is necessary. But sometimes in commercial spaces you don't have anything, or maybe the glass is frosted at most, but very often you got just naked window and you have to fight it or use it. So I will try a few scenarios. That's the actual camera setup. There is A7 IV with 85. There is also a ZV-E10 Mark II with 24 mm, so the field of view is like 36 mm, and both are powered via dummy battery from the power banks. So I have like 3 days of recording. Each of the cameras have timecode fed into the audio track as a left track, so I can sync it in post with one click. And I'm recording on 2 mics, and also there is a Keylight wannabe Nanlite 240C. I'm not sure it's placed correctly, we'll see. I'm using the softbox and denser diffusion because this light is very strong, so at 1% it might be too strong in some scenarios. I have a headlight above, this Amaran T2C, and actually it's turned on for some reason, and there is a fireplace. It's kind of the practical, but it's just because I like fireplaces and nothing else. And there is a stand for the neck. I'm not sure I would be able to place the neck, because in theory I should place the neck above the headlight. We'll see if this is possible with that stand. I have other stands, so we'll see. And there is actually the neck, it is 4x4, so we'll see how that goes. I actually never used that neck before, so let's see how the shots look. And I'm recording on 2 mics. One is Deity TC-1 and the other one is Mic Mini. So Mic Mini is feeding the sound to DJI Action 5, the BTS camera. Deity records internally, I hope. This is the timecode in Deity is synced, and also the timecode is fed wirelessly to the Action 5. So all 3 my cameras are timecode synced, and it would be really easy to sync it in post. So that's the wide shot. It's not perfect, but we are not talking about the shot. And at the moment, as you can see, I'm recording my brighter side of the face. If I'm looking there, if I'm looking into the lens, it is questionable, but I assume there would be an interviewer, for example, in this scenario. So it would be probably nicer to shoot darker side of my face. At the moment, it is brighter side because I have these windows open. And actually, regarding the sun, it is supposed to be very cloudy for next 4 hours, so the ambience shouldn't change that much. So I will actually try to use that ambience. We'll see. I'm not sure I would be able to position the light as I want, but maybe I would move it farther to, probably I will move it farther to my right, because at the moment it seems it would just be straight on, so I have to move it to my right side, and I guess that's it. So this is the basic shot, and what is actually the exposure? It looks kinda okayish on the parade, although I think I'm a bit overexposed here because this is closer to the window, although like the difference is very small. I removed the filter set, but for some reason it came back. So let's see what is the exposure of my face on the bright side, and it's f4.8, so in theory it is kind of okayish. If I use the ND filter one stop, then it will be f2.8.8, which is still okay, but it's more on the shadowy side. So I should actually not talk to the camera, because then shadow side would be facing the camera. I mean, the shot is kind of weird because I have not much room here. I guess I have to put some wood there. So that's why I would pretend I have an interviewer there, and I have to remember this because I tend to look into the cameras. So at the moment, the exposure is kind of okay, but it's nothing fancy. And of course, I have this light above me, which is not set correctly. It might be too, maybe. The problem is that I got kind of long hair, so this creates shadow on my face. So let's see. First of all, this is without the hair light, which I should actually start with, and this is with the hair light, which is better, but I think it should be pushed a bit to the side. And of course, the hair light is not only about hair, but also about the shoulders. So this is also kind of the rim / shoulder light. So not much of the change here because it's bright from the window, but most of the change is on the shadow side, and actually it brings, actually I'm popping out a bit with this hair light, although maybe it is too much the front, maybe not, I don't know. Anyway, I will try to push it a bit back and not have it in the frame, which might be challenging. I think it is better, although the problem is that since I have kind of long hair now, I have a shadow on my face, but I don't have any artificial key yet. So I guess I have to pump the intensity of this light, and this might be problematic because now I'm at 50%. So if I use ND filters, this might be not strong enough, but what you can do, I have a different headlight also, but I will try to use this one. Maybe it would be enough up to 2 stops of ND, more probably not. So once again, f4.7, which is like the verge of the proper exposure, and judging from the parade, it's a bit too overexposed, but other than that, it is, I think, quite okay, quite okayish. So I guess that's the starting point, and I will try to build different looks. Especially I would kind of like this part of my face to be the bright side and this to be dark side. So I guess I have to bring at least 2 ND stops, or bring the neck. So I will try with ND because it's easier. Maybe start with 1 stop and introduce the key. That might be enough. And also the question is what contrast ratio I'm going for. So we'll see. But maybe I should talk a bit to my stand to pretend it's an interview with this shot. And actually, judging from the monitor, this shot is not that bad. Although I have to see the other angle. So the other angle looks like that. It's maybe not that great, but still I have to pretend I'm talking to my stand. And maybe the lame thing is that you can see the edge of the fireplace there, but to have me in the rule of thirds, I use this frame, and I guess I have to start with moving the light to my right and then build the shot. So as you can see, I have moved the light to my right. It should be okayish. but I'm probably not able to like create this side my bright side, but let's see. The Nanlite, I guess it would be a nice idea to turn the light on. It's the wrong CCT, and it's at 4%, and at the moment it seems I have the even exposure at 4%. I can actually confirm this with the, and I hope it's not in the frame. It's not, and you can see with the BTS camera where the light is, and I'm not using the grid at the moment. And actually it is like almost one stop darker still. Like this 4.06 and this is f2.8. So what is problematic with this light that this goes up only by 1% increments, which is kind of lame. So it is f4.4. So at 10 my face is kind of washed out, and this is the even exposure. So at the moment the contrast ratio is 1:1. So basically there is no shadow and there is no shape to my face, and you can see this because like almost no shadow on my face, and that's kind of a lame look. So I guess I have to bring ND filters and create the look. The problem is that maybe I would need a background light, but maybe I would just prefer to have like moodier look and the background would be darker, and actually I would have the fireplace exposed correctly. So I'm talking to the interviewer, so not looking to the camera, at least I try. So that's the look with 1:1 contrast ratio, and I would actually try to build the look when this is my shadow side, and maybe I could go to 1:2, 1:4. It depends how I can control the outside light with ND and the neck. I guess I would start with the NDs because it's easier to set them up. Just slide them in the matte boxes and let's see how that looks. Okay, so now it's a bit different look. Still, it is 1:1 contrast ratio because I just lowered the total exposure, and maybe it's not that bad now, like it's better than before, but it also depends what look you are going for. So I have to set my trusty Sekonic. This one is not that trusty, but and see what is the exposure now. So I put the filter value, it is f2.8.4 and f2.8.6. so looks that actually the clouds got darker outside, so it is not exactly 1:1 at the moment. Also for S-Log this exposure is too low in my opinion, so I have to bring up the exposure, and I wouldn't get to 1:2 constant ratio, although I can. So let's see, because like I would love to have like f4 here. It's probably more now, like f4.2. It is still acceptable, but instead of changing CCT, I would go a bit lower, and it's f4.1, which is still okay, but at 11%. The problem with this light is that if I change by 1%, so I change from 13 to 12, it went from f4.1 to f2.7.8, so 0.3 stops, which is kind of the bummer, but it is what it is. Of course, I can, in theory, push the light back or move it forward, but I'm kinda limited here by the location. So Now I'll pretend I'm talking to the interviewer and I have the camera set on my shadow side, and this one is f2.8.4, so I have like 0.6 stops difference between 0.7 even, so it is almost 1:2 constant ratio if I'm not mistaken. So 2 ND filters, I'm kind of controlling the light on this side of my face. It is a bit darker here, but not much. It's like almost not, so it's almost not perceivable, but the wide shot does not seem to look that pleasing now because this light source is kind of small. So actually so it actually exposes my torso, and I have to also check the hairlight. I guess the hairlight is still okay, or okay-ish. Like, it is not bad. I think at 50% it is still okay. And on this shot you can probably see more that this is a bit shadowier than this, but not much. So I'll try to switch to 2 ND stops, and then we will see how that looks. And probably the outside light is a bit brighter now, but what is good about this, that the sun is actually somewhere there and the windows are on my left side, so there won't be direct sun exposure. All light is coming through is bounce light. The small con might be that there is a lot of green foliage outside, so that might be a bit skewed with the color, but I hope it's not. Okay, so this is definitely darker, even autofocus struggles a bit. So the problem now might be that the exposure on myself, like on my lower body, is not that great. And of course this timed out. So I have 2 ND stops, so I'm in theory controlling the ambience with the ND filters. It kinda seems like I have, like, this is more red than before, like the colors are a bit warmer, maybe, I don't know. So maybe this and this has some color cast. I have to program the filters to 2 stops. So now this f2.5, so less than f2.8, less than half the stop. And here, if I have f4.5, this should be 1:4 contrast ratio. And now this side looks a bit more shadowy, and I have to definitely bring up the hairlight, but maybe I will start from the key light. So it was at 13%, so in theory I should go to like 26, but I'm not sure. It's getting quite bright already. 24 is not enough. It would be more like 30 probably, even though it is linear. So at 30 it is f4, and it's the denser diffusion. Actually I can swap the diffusion, so I will try to talk to the interviewer, and in theory at the moment it is less than 1:4 the contrast ratio, but you can see how this bright side became my shadow side, and this becomes the bright side. And to have 1:4 I have to go probably to 35, something like that, maybe even more, maybe to 40. Yes, so 41% on the Nanlite 240C, which is like 1 meter 80 centimeters, like 6 feet from my face. And now in theory this is the 1:4 contrast ratio, if I'm not mistaken. So, and of course I have to fix the hairlight. Let me see it. Yeah, it's barely visible with 2 stops of ND. So now I went to 100%. It is there, but it's very subtle, I'd say. So 2 stops is actually the maximum I can go with this light. And I wonder about the whole exposure. I guess it is still okay, the background. I mean, you can imagine that there is a window in front of me or something like that, but this is like a small window because my legs are already kinda in the shadow. But other than that, it's not that bad. Like, I can have a close-up and change this 35 to 55, so I would be like waist up and it would be quite okay. But I also wanted to have the wide shot. Like, maybe the shadows in the background became problematic, like they are very, very dark. There is something, I don't know what that is. Okay, that's the monitor actually, and it was not visible before. Yeah, that's the problems of filming yourself, because if I'm filming someone else, then my monitor won't be in the shot. It would be behind the cameras. So yeah. So the problem now is that I have to, okay, I can fix that problem just putting the monitor when the interviewer would be, and this would be the solution to all my problems. Yes. Yeah, so that's the solution to all my problems. Now I can definitely see that first of all I'm filming the shadow side, and in theory this is 1:4, although since this is a bit of the Rembrandt lighting, then some light also hits that part of my face. But if I measure with the Sekonic directed to the window, then it actually shows what is the exposure from the window. So that's the look. And actually I probably won't be able to go higher with the ND filters, because then everything would become very dark. Like the shadows in the background are already kinda too dark. It depends what look you want, but in my opinion they are already too dark. Although the exposure of the fireplace is now like more cinematic or whatever, but it looks a bit better. There are not zero blown highlights actually. Yeah, seems so. There is nothing is blown out based on the waveform. Nothing is blown out in the fireplace, which is nice. The other problem is that the hair light is like the limit for this hair light. 2 stops of ND. This is at 100%, and I think it's already too dim. I could check this on the close-up. It still does something. It's not that bad, but I'd say it would be nice if it is more powerful. I have more powerful hair light, but I guess I would stop at 2 stops of ND, because then I would have to bring additional background light. So now I will try to implement the neg. Yeah, so I will remove the ND filter first and set up the neg. I'm not sure it would be possible to set up, but maybe. I have to bring some shot bags to prevent the neck falling on myself. So let me remove the ND filters and bring the neck. Of course, my ND filters are IR&Ds from Vaxis. They're quite good, and they are in the frames from Tilta Mirage Matbox. I have 2 of these Tilta Mirage Matboxes and I'm quite happy about them. Okay, so I have a neck installed. It is actually a floppy, so I can actually wrap myself around, which is the plan at the end. But now the problem might be to properly block that window. I guess I have to move it here. Not sure it's possible. Let's try. So now you don't see what's going on because there is a neck. So maybe now. So does it create the shadow? It is, I think, creating the shadow here. But what is actually the change? The problem is that there is another window here, and this window I think creates the exposure here, so it won't be that easy to block with this neck, because like there is a couch, so I guess I have to move the couch to be able to block it. But let's see. The exposure should be a bit different, and I can actually maybe push it a bit to the front. So now I don't have the filters, so I have to set this up here and check what is the exposure. F2.7, so it dropped like one stop. Before it was F2.8.8, between F2.8.8 and F2.8.4, depends how much light was getting from the. So I will try to move it a bit and see if I'm able to block more light before it gets into the frame. I would actually have to have two of these. I have a flags. This light is at 4%, I think, or maybe even less, so maybe I should just turn it off to not create any confusion. And now you almost cannot see me, but I can't help it. So, and of course the hair light, I will go to 40 maybe. And this is at 2%, so I will turn it off completely. So now it is very shadowy, although there is still some kind of the light coming from this window. It is probably mostly bounced, but again, this window has the lower exposure because it is f2.5. So f2.5, if I get f4.5, then it would be 1:4 without any filters. So at 9% it is f4.4, at 10% it is f4.6. So I cannot dial it to the desired value because this goes up only by 1%. So that's the bummer actually with that light. I guess that's the only bummer with this light after I got the softbox exchanged for the better one. The original was terrible. So that's the look. There is still some light hitting, but maybe the look is not the best, because I can see that there is a really dark shadow here. So maybe it would be nice to have some bounce, and actually with that floppy I can create the bounce in theory if I install it right. So we will see what is possible with it, and I guess I have to somehow adjust the couch to be able to block more light with this, and let's see how that goes. The close up, not that great, I think. Of course the hair light is a bit warmer on purpose. It's like 4800 Kelvin, so bit warmer than the key light, and what is set into the camera. The cameras are set to 5600 Kelvin as usual. So that's the tight angle, that's the wide angle. For some reason it happens quite often that when I use that, like, there is a difference in the temperature. You can see this because the tight angle is sigma and wide angle is Samyang, so that's why. And it's not that bad actually on the wide angle, but on the and I guess that maybe the ambient light is a bit darker now on this shot. I guess it would be nice to move the light a bit to the center because there is a like ugly shadow. My eye sockets are quite deep, so that's the problem. It depends on the talent, so here it might be kind of annoying, so maybe I would try to move it a bit to the center now. Without having it in the frame. I guess now it's a bit better. Maybe I can even push it farther to so like here I got a shadowy side, and actually it got a bit darker outside, but it's still like at least F2, so it's not that deep of the shadow. So let me move the light a bit more. And it's in the frame, so that is actually the maximum I can have. And if this is more, I mean, the problem is that there is a wall, so the light is against the wall, and if I would be able to push it back, then it is possible to have it more to the center, but at the moment it's like the maximum position it can go, so I will leave it there. It's better than before, and I can actually remove the neck, so you can see the difference with new angle of the light. I was sitting on the remote, so if I remove the neck, it is a different look, definitely different look. I have more light here, so it was f2.5 before, and now it is probably f2.8 something, f2.8.1, so it's like 0.6 stops more on this side. But anyway, this is like at the moment like between 1:2 and 1:4, so maybe like 1:3 contrast ratio. So yeah, I mean, I will check this and put the numbers on the screen later. What are the contrast ratio values? This is f2.8.1 on the shadow side, and on the bright side is f4.4. And judging from the waveform, it is maybe a bit overexposed on my face, and for example this hand is definitely overexposed, but other than that it is not bad. But I guess the look with the neck is better, so I will come back to the neck and also try to wrap myself around with the neck, because it's actually floppy, so I can have it above me and block more light. There is still some light bouncing from the ceiling and some light bouncing from behind, but yeah. So I will try to mount the neck differently, although maybe I have to push the sofa. What is a bit problematic is how that neck unfolds. Unfortunately, the pin is in front of the neck, so it is quite hard or maybe even impossible to attach it the way I want to attach it. Like I can attach this as a bounce correctly, but as a neck, not really. So that's the problem, that I'm not able to use this part of the neck to block the light, really. I mean, to a degree. So maybe if I use the, I mean, at the moment I'm just showing this. Not sure it's really visible. So I have to bring the, which probably won't solve my problem. To solve my problem, I would have to have really short boom arm, and or maybe I can solve it. Maybe yes, maybe I can solve it with the grip head. Okay, so I'm going to use the grip head instead of the grip arm, and this should solve that problem. So in theory, with the grip head, I can kinda create this. It's still not ideal, but it's better than before. And I guess I have to push this sofa. So that way I can block more light in theory. I guess I have to push it. I have to push it just barely out of the frame. It's not yet in the frame, and the problem is this. You can actually put the rod here. So this would be kinda, oh, maybe the mop rod will do. It should. So it won't be that. Yeah. As you can see, it fixes a bit the problem, but the main problem is that this floppy opens to the other side, so it is rather the bounce. So if it's mounted the other way, I would be able to hang the floppy here inside, but that way it's not possible. So that's the problematic part. Maybe I'm missing something. Never used it before, but in my opinion, it's not possible to open it to the black side to have it hanging in front. Maybe I don't know, maybe there is some kind of the magic. Maybe I can actually pull it through here. Probably. Let me see. I can probably push it inside, but I use the Velcro, so I have to push it here, and that way, maybe. So if you remove the Velcros I've put, and that way I would be able to, although then it won't be sitting on the frame that great. As you can see, I'm able to push it inside, but now it is not sitting right on the frame. It is a bit loose, but it is still better than before, and I can still put the rod there to make it a bit stiff. Yeah. So is it in the frame? Probably not. So I have to push it as far as I can. So now it creates a much better shadow. I can still move it around, but I think that's the perfect position. You can see on the BTS camera how that actually looks like. It's like the middle of the, like I get 2/3 of the neck in front of me and the rest behind me. There is maybe still some light hitting my back, but you cannot see this in the frame. So now it is F1.4 and 9, so F2, so kinda 0.6 light has been cut off, and definitely it is much darker. It would be like 1:6 contrast ratio, something like that, close to 1:8. Anyway, but you can see how the bright side of my face became the shadow side of my face, and I'm not using any filters at the moment, just the neck. So it's actually the floppy, so it is above me and to my side. It would be nice to have two of these to block both of the windows, but then, I mean, it depends on the background I want. So I can actually now add also the ND to create different ambience, which I will do in a second. So the Nanlite is at 9% and I have this exposure. Maybe 8 would be a bit better. I mean, I prefer darker exposures of the skin. It says that it's the same exposure, so I don't know. This one is not very accurate. F4.3, so I guess this one is a bit better. And I'm not sure, I haven't, maybe I just pushed the headlight a bit when I moved it. Let me see on the tight angle. You can see how different the shadow side of my face is than the shot before. Anyway, and actually on the waveform it's like really deep shadow, which creates, like, I think, much more dramatic look, and it is maybe even too dark. So there is also one big window far away in front of me, but I'm not sure it creates a lot of exposure on my face. It is not blocked by the neck, but it is quite far away, so I don't see anything from that window. I can try. Probably there is nothing. I wonder what that is. This is probably from the hairlight. Maybe now the hairlight is a bit to the front because it also illuminates my forehead. Let me see. Yeah, so this is the exposure from the hairlight actually. So maybe I should push it back. Yeah, I guess now it's better. And what is missing is some exposure on this shoulder now. Does this hairlight create something? Not really. Not sure why. I guess because it is too far away, like the arm is too short. So maybe I should buy 4-feet version of this. Yeah, so that's without the key, and with the key it looks like that, so I think it's quite nice. And now I can actually check at one stop of ND. 2 stops I think would be too much, but if I want darker exposure of the background, now the background is exposed by the window, and I can see that actually some of the sun went out of the clouds, although it's not shining directly to the windows, but the bounce light is still bouncing inside. So that's actually the look, and I think it doesn't look bad. The small problem maybe is the exposure of the fireplace. The tiles, they are white, so they might be a distracting part of the shot. So maybe I should have another flag to block it, but I mean, at the moment I'm just exposing the face. So, but maybe it's good to know that the tiles might be also blocked, because they might be a distraction in the shot. So anyway, I will try to mount the ND filters and see how that looks. That shadow might become really dark, so might be actually too dark. And it's just one stop of the ND, so this side is, I think, too dark. It's F1.8, so less than F1.4, and this side is of course F2.8.2, because I haven't changed the exposure, so it is too dark. So I have to change the exposure of the key, maybe 18%. It is a 4.4. 17% is f4.3, which is kinda at 60% of the waveform. It's a bit higher, like f4 I think is at 60%, so at 15, f4.2, 13 is, yeah, 13 is f2.8.9, and f4.1 is 14. So I'm at 14, so actually double the previous exposure, but the exposure on my face is like 0 to lower. And I think this one is a bit too contrasty, so it is, I think, more than 1 to 8. Anyway, but that's the look. It is almost 1.4 at this side, and it is f4.1, I think, on bright side f4.1. So that's the look. I think it's too dark on that side, at least for the kind of the interview shot. But now I can actually reverse the neck, and this will still block the light from the windows, but I would have a bounce inside, so that actually might create more interesting look than this one. So I will leave the filters in, and we'll see if that makes sense. Then actually maybe it doesn't, because this will still bounce this light, so it depends on the power of this light. So I will see, but it is easier to leave the ND filters in the cameras and then probably remove it, then remove it and put it back. So yeah. So now I will reverse the neck and use it as a bounce, but this will still block the light from the windows, because the dark side would be outside and it is still blocking the windows, so the direct light from windows are not hitting me, but it's hitting the neck. I mean, actually it bounces from the neck, because on the other side of the neck it is white, it is double-sided, so this kind of universal, but as you can see, it is kind of annoying to use, because you have to thread it through the frame to have it set correctly. So now I have to thread it through the frame to the other side to be able to hang the bounce material here. And I'm not sure about the bounce on top, but this still blocks some light bouncing from the ceiling. So we'll see. Now I will only bounce this light, not daylight. So maybe it will still be okay. We'll see. Okay, so I will now reverse the neck to the bounce. It will still act as a neck against the sun, but it will bounce at least a bit of the key light, maybe on this side of my face. Let's see. So that would be a bit tricky, because I have to thread back this and rotate the neck. So I think I would actually have to remove it from the not that easy. As you can see, you can duck up something like the headlights. Now I have to thread this back. Try not to make it dirty. And now I have to, and yeah, and that's the problem I was talking about. I have additional velcros here, so I can actually prevent this from happening to a degree. I would have to fix the hair light, because it's been hit. It's not that easy to operate. So now I have the white side inside. I have to fix the headlight. Actually, I should also change the exposure of the headlight before, but I forgot. So, because now I have one ND stop. Anyway, now it is with the bounce. So definitely my, and it's one stop ND, and definitely my face is brighter on this side. Not sure how much brighter, but let's see. Before it was F1.8, not F1.8, but F1 and 8/10, so less than F1.4, and now it is F2, so it is like 1.2 stops more on that side of my face. And actually I think it looks much better than before. Like, this might be the look I would go for. I'm not sure about the headlight, but I will just solve it in a second. And this F2.0 on this side of my face, and here should be F4.2, so it is like 1:4, I think 1:4 contrast ratio. If I'm wrong, I would put a number here. I would probably put a number here anyway. So I think that look is the best so far. So I have one ND stops in the cameras. That light is running at 14% to create that look. It is now a bit closer, probably between 4 and 5 feet, so 1.2 to 1.5 meters away from my face. And I think that look is the best. Also because the background is a bit dimmer, but it is not as dim as with two ND stops. So I think it is quite nice. Although some shadows are really dark, like this shadow on the bucket, and this shadow, this shadow, this shadow, this shadow on the, and this shadow on the speaker. So, but also with one ND stop, the tiles on the fireplace are actually darker than my face, so there are no longer the threads to the crop, to the shot. So I think this one actually looks the best. And there is maybe too much shadow on my legs and my pants, and the choice of this t-shirt is not the best. It is not black, but it's really dark gray, so it's probably not the best choice. But anyway, I think this one is the best. Although I have to check the headlight, because now I have one ND stop. There is some specular light, like some highlight here, but let's see what that does and if that should be brighter. So definitely the headlight is great. Maybe it should be a bit farther away. I can fix it with the crate. Maybe now it's a bit better. I think it even illuminates a bit this shoulder, yes, but it might be a bit too dark. So let's go to 60% first. Is it too bright? Maybe on the hair, but I think overall it is really nice. I can also check without the key. Yeah, I think it's like spot on in terms of the it creates a bit of the highlight on my hand. It should be actually farther to my left, but the stand is too short. But it does not impact the exposure on my face that much, and with the key light it actually looks really nice. And I can see on the like probably this part, yes, this part of my arm is the highest exposed thing in the frame, so it is a bit annoying. So maybe I should keep it like that, or maybe, I don't know, maybe like that. But on the wide shot it's still visible. So probably I have to install the net to block, to create a shadow on my hand, and that would be solved. So I would probably have to install the net on the lower part of this light, and that would solve the issue. Maybe I would install it in a second, although not sure how much time I have left. A bit, so I can check this and fix that issue, that actually the brightest part of the frame, at least in this frame, is my hand. So I think that from all of the shots, this is the best so far. I'm not saying the other ones were bad, because it depends what look you want to create. If you want brighter look, darker look, so you can use it. Although with 2 ND stops, probably it was too dark. But now with the bounce, it creates quite nice contrast ratio on my face, I think. And also still the shadow side is on the camera side, which gives more shape to my face. Like you can compare this to when it was 1:1 ratio, like my face was flat, and this one, in this one, it is probably much more three-dimensional. So yeah, but I think I have to fight this highlight with the net, so I will try to fix it in a second. So now I kind of managed to like block this light on my hand. It seems it is still the brightest part of the shot. Unfortunately, I used the double net. So the double net is on the side of the key. You can see this on the BTS shot, and this, I think, impacted the exposure of my face a bit. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, it is. So I'm not sure I can fix it, but let's see. On the, it does not look that bad on the, so I wonder, I think it's not possible to fix it. Maybe with a grid, but because now I have the proper exposure of on my face, probably f4.1, so it is proper exposure. I like that, something around f4, but the hand I can still see on the waveform that the hand is the most exposed part of this shot. So I mean, it's a bit like tad more exposed than my face. So if I move it back, now the face is most exposed. And also I covered 2 cells of the hair light. I pushed the hair light a bit to my left, and also I think it is creating now better because it actually illuminates both of my shoulders, and it is still not in the shot. So that's the plus. Like the building the shot can take 3 hours actually. So now I think the hair light is in the perfect position, but it was also shining here on my hand, so I blocked 2 cells of the, like if I'm blocking more cells with my hand, it does not change the exposure of this hand much. So I think the rest is from this light. So maybe I should install the grid and check. I guess I would do it. So maybe with the grid I would be able to do it. The problem is that the wide shot is quite wide, so it was really hard to push the net in front of the light. So yeah, like half the light is covered. So maybe let's see if I'm able to do it with the grid. So then maybe there won't be much light hitting my head, like the most of the light which hits my hand would be blocked by the net. So let's see. Grid is installed on the light is definitely much darker, and the hand is still the brightest part, which is weird. I mean, it's probably because the hand is the closest, but the light hitting the hand is actually blocked with the net, so it's weird. But let's see. I mean, I can check with this. I can check on the waveform. It's f2.8.7. So actually, what is interesting, if I'm changing the exposure, I'm changing the power of the light, the exposure on my face is changing faster than exposure of on my hand. So 29%, f28 probably, I want f4.1. So, and the hand is still exposed, like it is kinda the same level as my face. Maybe I can like fix the placement of the net. I think if the net is on the bottom of the light, it should be better, but then it is in the frame. And what also changed is a bit of the background exposure, as you can see. I mean, now the exposure from the window is not that bright as before, because the sun already moved past my house, so outside is in the shadow actually. So it is also darker outside, but when I installed the net, the whole, I think, background got darker. So that's also the bummer. So maybe I will still try to place the net correctly. We'll see. It is in theory 2 stops net, but it's like it is double net. So yeah, let's see if I'm able to place it correctly. Yeah, I guess I'm not really able to fix that really high exposure of my hand with just one net. It might be also that it is bounces from the bounce above me, although I doubt it. So without the grid, I'm not able to fix it. Maybe I will install the grid and see. Maybe the grid would help in that configuration. Now that the net is kind of in the middle of the light, I have still f4 on my face, and the hand is still that more exposed. Like I think this part, or this part is the most exposed part of the frame. So yeah, I will try with the grid, but I doubt this would help. So let's see. Okay, now with the grid, the look is totally different. Like the background is really dark because also the external exposure changed. So that is like, I guess it's much worse, but maybe I can fix it with just higher exposure of the light. But I can see that my hand is still the most exposed. Why these applications are so annoying? Yeah, so I have f4.1 on my face here, and actually looks like I've been able to fix the hand exposure. So I have a crate and the net going through the light. It might be the case that the net is too high because it also creates a really deep shadow here, but at least my hand is not overexposed now. My face is exposed higher than the hand. I can go 1% higher, and I'm still below 60%. It's probably f4.2. So I guess that's the final look. I'm not saying this is the best look, but this is the different look than all other looks. But I kicked the hair light a few times, but I think it might be the best in that configuration. And actually I can see that now the exposure of my hand is lower than before, so it is a partial success, although now the background is much darker because I'm using the grid, the crate on the key light, and also the net, so a lot of light is blocked and is not illuminating the background now. So I guess that shot is now worse because like my legs are dark and everything behind me is dark, but it's another look you can create, and it's another tool for controlling the light, the net. So you can see on the BTS shot where is the net when the grid is installed on the light, so you can actually see this. And now I have to clean this room and bring it to the previous state, so it would take probably an hour, but I guess I've been able to create few different looks, and you can see that now the fireplace is like almost not illuminated, and this look is with a one stop of ND. So maybe I could remove the filters and this will look better, and then I will have still control over my hand. So let me try the last one. Yeah, so now I have definitely adjust the key light because it's too strong, and the hairlight too, so I'm going to 40 with hairlight. It might be still too much, and this was around 15 before, so it's actually the same look. The ambience probably is killed now. So now still my face is exposed higher than my hand, which is a plus, but it is still kind of moody look, although the fireplace is brighter. So maybe it's a bit brighter, like the background is a bit brighter, but then I have the same exposure on my face. So not sure about the exposure on the shadowy side, but it's probably the same. So you can choose whichever of the looks is better, and I can see that like now the fireplace is the highest exposed part of the frame, those really bright flames, but I guess it's not a very distracting. So I guess that's the final look, and I'm not saying it's like the best look, but it's another look. So I've been able to create like 8, maybe more looks with all these tools, with ND filters, the neck, the bounce, and also the net and grid. So some of them is probably the best, and I think also shooting the shadow side of the face is also better to create more depth and more shape to my face. Yeah. So I hope this exercise was helpful, and I think that's it, and cheers mate.